Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. Local Olympian Reece Howden is back home as the Ukraine conflict rages on. Flood repair work at Cultus Provincial Park is set to start. You can tell the spring weather is here because the bear sightings are picking up. And Agassiz Speedway getting ready to race in 2022. Josh Bohr will have more in sports. Our special guests this week include Cultus Lake's pride and joy, Olympian Reece Howden, and Chilliwack Chiefs Vice President Barry Douglas. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. On our top story, Cultus Lake Olympian Reece Howden, who raced in the recent Beijing Winter Olympic Games, was to have been involved in an international ski cross championship last week in Russia. But the conflict with Ukraine forced Alpine Canada and the FIS, the international body that covers skiing, to move Team Canada out of the country for safety. The first stop was Munich, and now Reece is in Kamloops. He is training for his next tournament. That's in Austria starting on the 11th. And we'll have an interview with Reece later on in sports with Josh Bohr. BC Transit is informing customers that several transit routes are being renumbered in the Chilliwack transit system. That'll be effective March the 27th. Now, routes are being renumbered in order to avoid the confusion between the Central Fraser Valley system, which is Abbotsford and Mission, and the Chilliwack transit system, as there are duplicate route numbers. And the only one that's going to stay the same will be the 66, the Fraser Valley Express. While cougar sightings throughout the winter are not uncommon, the bear sightings are, and you can tell it's spring when bear paw imprints are now being seen around the valley. Last week, one such imprint was spotted near the Harrison Lagoon. Now, on their website, the BC Conservation Office Services reminding hikers that mamas and cubs are now stirring, so make sure you make a lot of noise when you're hiking. You may also want to keep some type of a noise maker with you, like an air horn, just for safety. Other tips can be found on the conservation website. While flood repair restoration work is well underway at Sasquatch Provincial Park north of Harrison, the same type of work is about to start at Cultus Lake Provincial Park. Now, some repairs have been done to the trail at Teapot Hill. Chilliwack Kent MLA Kelly Padden, who lives at Lindell Beach, told chillTV that work there, as well as Jade Bay, Maple Bay, and other parts of the park, have now started, but there is no timeline for completion. And yes, the potholes are still there. Repairs to the northbound lanes of Highway 11 between Hazelwood Avenue and Claiborne Road in Abbotsford are now complete. That highway has reopened to 4 lanes all the way from the U.S. border to Mission. Now, the repairs are temporary, and the ministry now working on plans for permanent repairs, and that'll probably happen during the summer. The owner of Yarrow's Inspired Arts and Gifts has made the difficult decision to close her doors by mid-May. The owner, Lee Jones, telling chillTV that a number of challenging events over the past years, along with the end of the store lease, have all combined to make this a very difficult decision. And yes, everything in the store is on sale. The 2022 edition of PD's Easter Egg Extravaganza is a go. Gary Moran of Fantasy Farms has just completed the downtown Christmas Village and now sets his sights to reboot the Easter tradition that has been stalled by COVID over the past 2 years. And now Gary has said keep an eye on their social media for updates, and yes, they are looking for staff. Fraser Valley Women's Expo is this weekend at Heritage Park. It's the big day out for the girlfriends, the moms, and the daughters to relax, get pampered, and have fun. Highlights of the event include great shopping at over 200 exhibits, free samples, exciting entertainment, free makeovers, fashion shows, informative workshops, cooking and theater demos, food and wine sampling, career and business resources, decorating and travel ideas, everything else from entertainment and health and wellness advice, and fantastic prizes and a whole lot more. In June of 2020, chillTV introduced you to Nax, and the best way to describe his music is, and I'm quoting a few people, that it's a spectacular mix of alternative rock, blues, and folk. Well, Nax is back performing as part of the Boomerang series at the Chilliwack Cultural Center on Saturday, March the 19th. Here's a clip that chillTV's Barris Carden did with Nax, with a little background on his life and his music.
And welcome to the show, Nax. Nax, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you today?
Very good, very good. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You're from Chilliwack, and you moved here with your family from Czech Republic, Czechia, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they renamed it now, but back then it was still Czech Republic.
Yeah. How old were you when you moved?
I was 15, I believe. Yeah, I was 15 years
Wow.
old in 2012.
2012.
We all moved here as a family.
That's great. And so you've been doing music for how many years?
It could be anything over a little bit over 10 years. As for guitar, about 9 years.
And still to come, Josh Bohr and sports.
Welcome back to Sports, everyone. My name is Josh, and to begin today, we are joined by Barry Douglas of the Chilliwack Chiefs. He's the Vice President of Business Operations and the Team Governor. That is quite a title. I have no idea how you fit that on a business card. But Barry, welcome to Sports. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, I'm honored to be your first ever interview. This is huge right now, so hopefully you'll autograph something for me after we're done.
Have some grace with me here as we go, and trust me, my autograph is a glorified scribble, so it's not much to look at. Let's obviously start on the ice with the Chilliwack Chiefs. They've had a remarkable season, I think exceeding expectations a little bit. They are third place in their conference. They have already clinched a playoff spot with 10 games yet to go. You told me before this interview that it's been pretty crowded, pretty even in the league so far. What do you think has allowed the Chiefs to kind of rise above the muddled middle class of the league?
Well, with most organizations that are successful, it starts at the top, and that's our head coach and GM, Brian Maloney. He really, exemplifies what it takes to be a leader at this level, and his coaches, Brad Rahella and Andrew Shaw, they really form a foundation that they have a lot of faith in the players. No matter what happens, there's peaks and valleys, as you know, throughout sports, and having a really young squad this year, we tend to have a young team. We like to develop the younger players, so there's going to be some growing pains early in the season for most of our seasons, and we were able to get through that with all the high skill that we have and the skating and everything else that we do. And again, but the coaches really have laid a foundation to enable ourselves to kind of play with a lot of strengths and always be competitive in every game, and we have a pretty deep roster both with the forwards, defense, and goaltending.
So last season was weird with COVID, obviously. You played in a pod. Coming into this season, you didn't really know what to expect. What was that like for both the coaches and the players coming in to play teams that you hadn't played in, over a year?
A lot of excitement, Josh. When those players walked in this summer and we knew we were going to have a normal season per se, there was so much excitement both on and off the ice. Our staff, we were giddy, just getting excited to play some real games again and see some different teams, as you mentioned. So we got to see the teams from the island, Nanaimo and Cowichan Valley and Victoria and Surrey and Langley. So it was awesome just to have a chance to play those different teams and with people in the stands. I mean, that was something else too, because last year we played just with music and some cardboard fan cutouts, which was a little different and kind of tough to get used to, but it was just so good to hop back on in a normal kind of area and have real games again.
And obviously that excitement has translated onto the ice. Like we said, the team has played unbelievable. They've clinched a playoff spot. So let's look ahead to the playoffs. They begin kind of beginning of April here. If there's one trait you would hope will define this team moving into the stretch run, moving into the playoffs, what would you want that to be?
I think it'll be a commitment. Just commit to the process. I mean, I think the guys are going to. I think this week's practice has been just fantastic to watch. The guys are really dialed in when it comes to all their on-ice tactics, their off-ice, the video, their nutrition, getting a proper rest. This group of guys, I've said this a few times internally at our office, this is a real special group. I mean, every year you have a special group, but this one feels a little extra special just with the way they've bonded through everything we've went through with the floods and everything else here in our area. And the guys really kind of came together, and the chemistry, it really seems second to none right now.
You know what, you mentioned the flooding, and I was just about to say, let's, moving from on the ice to off the ice. The Chiefs have been very involved even through COVID and the pandemic and into the flooding off the ice. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the Chiefs have been able to do on the community front?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Josh. I mean, just so proud of our organization. I mean, the players, the coaches, the trainers, the office staff, everybody really stepped up. I mean, our players could have kind of, pouted or kind of got down because they had to maybe miss a few games here and there, but they ramped up. They were the first to say, how can we help our community? They went out, they did some sandbagging, they did some clothing and food drives, and they really asked, what can we do to help our community? I get chills talking about it right now because it's just something that you hope your team will do, and they did. And again, it was every player, every coach, every staff member, and our building operations crew. Everybody just kind of stepped up and just did what they could do to help our community.
They have certainly made Chilliwack proud. Now, the on-ice success has led to some off-ice success for some of the players. I understand you've got a couple players that have been drafted, a couple players with NCAA opportunities. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, thanks. Ethan Bowen, a local Chilliwack chief, drafted by the Anaheim Ducks last year, and you've got Keenan Draper, Detroit Red Wings drafted him. His father, of course, Chris Draper, an NHL legend and multiple Stanley Cup champion. But it was pretty cool, actually. I was kind of segue over to, we had our parents' weekend last weekend, and we had all the parents out, and they were just raving about how exciting it was to be back at real games again, and just marveling about all the scouts they were seeing at our games. And, Josh, on average, we get that 10 to 12, 14 NCAA scout commitments per year, and this year we're right in that ballpark right now, as you mentioned, and every game at the Coliseum you'll see numerous scouts, a dozen or less scouts sometimes at the games, just kind of watching the guys, and it's always just fulfilling to watch a player come in at 16 or 17 and kind of grow as a man and get those commitments and scholarships and be able to go to play college hockey in the NCAA ranks.
Well, thank you so much, Barry, for joining us. If you want to check out the Chiefs' stretch run into the postseason, definitely go to it. The atmosphere at the Chiefs games has been unbelievable throughout the year. In fact, before we finish up here, I know there's a lot going on at the Coliseum over the next few weeks. I think, we had the Agassiz Speedway over this past weekend showing off some of their stuff going on. What else is coming up that fans can look forward to?
Oh, appreciate that. Yeah, so next weekend we have the SBCA tennis ball toss night. It's a hugely popular event. You get a tennis ball, you throw it on the ice, you win some prizes, so that's always a big one. Ollie's Pet Connection helps us with that one. So that's the next one coming up, and then we have a lot of other events with our sponsor appreciation nights, our fan appreciation nights, all that kind of fun stuff. And of course, the postseason, there's nothing like playoff sports, and that's coming in early April.
Absolutely. Barry, thank you so much for joining. I think I did okay on that, right? I wasn't bad.
I'm going to give you a 9 out of 10. There's always room for improvement, right?
Yes, I'll take that.
So
I will.
We'll go 9.
I will 100% take that.
Judges, 9. Yeah, I heard it. 9. You're good.
You know what? There's always room for improvement. You can't be perfect right off the bat. Barry, thank you so much for joining me. We are going to go to a quick break, and we are going to come back with the rest of sports in just a moment. UFV Cascades women's golf head coach Cody Stewart and former Cascades assistant coach Jennifer Gregan will be representing Team BC in golf at the Canada Summer Games this August in Niagara, Ontario. The tournament will consist of both an individual and a team event and will be held August the 14th to the 21st at the Battlefield Course at Legends on the Niagara. That is an epic name for a golf course, the Battlefield Course. Anyways, good luck to both Jennifer and Cody. You guys are going to do amazing. In terms of high school sports, there may be no more iconic event than the Subway Bowl, held each December at BC Place Stadium. If you grew up at all connected to high school football in this province over the last 20 years, you know the Subway Bowl was every player's dream and goal. But now, it's no more. I mean, the tournament's not going anywhere, but the name is going to be changing. The month-long celebration of grade 8, junior varsity, and senior varsity football in BC will be taking on a new sponsor and a new name for 2022. So while we retire the Subway Bowl into the rafters, along with the Staples Center and the Crosby Clambake, we will eagerly await the announcement of a new name and sponsor. They will certainly have some big shoes to fill. Sticking with football, the Chilliwack Giants are accepting applications for their 2022 scholarships. Each year, Chilliwack Minor Football will offer a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 11 scholarships and bursaries. To qualify, high schoolers must maintain a B average and be planning on post-secondary education. So please submit your applications by no later than May the 13th. As always, more information can be found at the Giants' social media pages. Now, for those who hadn't heard, Reece Howden, the Cultus Lake Olympian, finished 9th in men's ski cross at the recent Beijing Winter Olympics. He was actually supposed to be competing in Russia at another international ski cross event just last week. But with the invasion of the Ukraine and the ongoing crisis over there, Alpine Canada and the International Ski Federation sent teams home for their safety, obviously. Reece is now in Kamloops, hopefully preparing for an event in Austria on March the 11th. chillTV's own Don Lehn caught up with Reece earlier this week to see how the young man is doing and reflect on his experience at the Winter Olympics.
chillTV's News of the Week, and in conversation with the pride of Cultus Lake, Reece Howden, World Cup ski cross champion, Olympian, and got caught in this Ukrainian conflict. Reece, let's quickly go through this. You placed ninth in Beijing, which is a blast. You got to go to an Olympics. While you were there, while Team Canada was there, all of this was starting to play out between the Ukraine and with Ukraine and Russia. How much of a distraction was it for you and Team Canada, or were you trying to stay as focused as you could?
Yeah, it was, we were just trying to focus on what we could control. That's kind of what we've been used to in terms of working with COVID and stuff like that. You can only do as much as that's in your hands, right? So just focused on what I could do, which is racing and prepping for racing and stuff like that. And that was kind of what I focused on.
And from Beijing, so correct me on the timeline, you go to, and is it Sunshine Valley in Russia?
It's called Sunny Valley.
Sunny Valley, okay. Well, this is where you won the world title last year, was it not, the points title?
It could have been, but yeah, I won that race last year.
So you get there and you're ready to race, and so was it Alpine Canada or the Federation, the FIS of International Skiers, or the Canadian government that said, you're coming home now? Who was it?
The order was Alpine Canada made the call that we weren't going to do the race, and then there was also a lot of other countries that made that decision, like the majority of the European ones and stuff like that, and then FIS made the call to cancel the race.
How are you feeling about all of this, trying to stay focused, and your teammates, because it's supposed to be all about sports, and we've known over the years, we've seen this especially with the Olympics, where politics and sports kind of bang heads at each other. And now you're ironically waiting to go back to Europe for another tournament, for another championship.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's having sports in politics is difficult, but I think for countries and stuff like that, and to represent countries, it's very important. But yeah, when it comes to what we're dealing with now, it's tough, because definitely sports should be on the back burner.
Let's talk strictly about sports. What was it like in Beijing? A lot of people were watching, especially the ski jump, and there's these cooling towers in the background. Were the facilities okay, or could have they been improved, or?
The last two Olympics being in Asia, the one thing that I could really account for is the snow quality was amazing. The way that they were making snow, because it was artificial, but it was so consistent. So the snow was great. And so they were able to build really cool features because of that, which was a lot of fun. It was awesome to have the whole freestyle venue in one spot. Really liked that. And the venues were great. Yeah, for the most part, it was pretty cool and really good. I did get to go on the bullet train, so that was a lot of fun. I think we got up to like 350 kilometers an hour.
Very cool. So now you get to go to real snow in Austria. So the plan is fly on the 9th, and then you're going to be in competition on the weekend of the 11th, 12th?
Yeah, I'll be flying out on the 8th, and arriving on the 9th, and then racing there. There was some talk about maybe trying to throw in like another race because of the cancellation in Russia, but I'm not so sure. We'll see what happens. So the plan is the Right-O-Rome race, which is the second last World Cup, and then World Cup finals in Wesenau, Switzerland.
And we're going to be watching. Reece, big thank you for doing this. I know you've got preparation to do, and then you got a plane to catch next week. We will talk again very soon. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Don. Have a great day.
And you're watching chillTV's News of the Week.
Thank you very much again to Reece for taking time out of his preparation to chat with us. And thank you very much to Barry Douglas for joining us from the Chiefs to talk about that awesome stuff. That's all we've got for sports this week. Thank you as always for tuning in. After the break, we've got Don with the weekend weather.
Chill TV weather, a gorgeous start to March. It's coming in like a lamb. Sunshine this weekend. The highs could hit around 14. If you'd like to participate in reporting news and you have a story you think we should know about, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. That's the news this week. I'm Don Lehn.